Hey, old school gamers, we are back with Grumpy Old GMs, and today we're going to do, before we move on to something else, we're going to do one more of this feature we do here on this channel, where we review free and pay what you want products. Especially, well, actually really only if those free or pay what you want products are just as good as products that you would pay money for at a fixed retail price. And oftentimes they are. So as a full-time professional game master, paying my bills with this, started in May of 2021, I have been looking on the internet for a lot of ways to help me do this. And one of the first things that got a lot of feedback from y'all out there in the audience about that kind of inspired this whole series on reviewing free stuff was I did a video on how to get 1,000 free adventures. And that led us to the one-page dungeon compendiums, collecting all the free ones. And I've had a lot of response about, reviewing the free and pay what you want stuff. And I figured, there's not really anybody out there doing that. So today I am really happy to present to you something that I have used a lot. In fact, even though I don't look at it so much anymore, I still use it because it affected the way that I think. So I don't necessarily need to go look at the pages anymore, but I think about the contents a lot. And sometimes I do go look at the pages because it's filled with some cool adventures that I've run that I'll tell you about. But what I'm talking about is the book 5 Room Dungeons by Johnn 4. Johnn 4's website is roleplayingtips.com. And this is a free book. I guess you could argue, it's 317 pages here as a PDF, so it is definitely a book, not just some little pamphlet or flyer or something. And you could argue that because you have to sign up for his email newsletter, it's like that there's a catch or something. I really don't mind that. I think this still fits the criteria we have on this channel for what it means for a product to be free or pay what you want. I think if you sign up for someone's newsletter, it's still free. Because you can, if you really find out that you don't jibe with them, that you're not on the same wavelength with them, you don't like their products, you can just unsubscribe to the newsletter or something later. But this 317-page book just for subscribing to a newsletter, yeah, that's free. So it definitely qualifies for a review here. So 5 Room Dungeons has got a ton of actual adventures that fit Johnn's formula. And Johnn's formula is the 5 Room Dungeon formula. It doesn't literally mean a dungeon, but it is sort of a formula for 5 encounters or 5 areas of an adventure that can be fleshed out to make a full story. Now, do I think every D&D session or Pathfinder, OSR, whatever have you, do I think that every gaming session should follow this formula? Of course not, because it's a formula and you can overdo formulas. But it really is awesome. And I was a regular weekly dungeon master for D&D Adventure League from 2017 to 2018. I did it for about a year for a store here in the mighty city of St. Louis. And I noticed that a lot of John's ideas to have a quick adventure that can be solved in a matter of hours instead of a matter of weeks or months really fits a lot of those Adventure League modules really well. I think there's some overlap or some of the same kind of thinking. I don't really want to fill up this video with minutes and minutes and minutes of telling you about his formula. You can read that in the book for yourself for free. Or I have noticed that he is starting classes where he teaches his 5 Room Dungeon formula. And they're not all dungeons. Like one of my favorite adventures in here is a forest, and it's just 5 different areas in a forest and so on. But even if you're not, even if you were not interested in developing adventures with his 5 room outline, just the adventures that are the value alone would be the published adventures that are in here. He has collected a series of adventures of people that have followed his 5 room formula, and there are, I didn't count them. I guess maybe it'd be a little more professional video if I actually gave you a number, right, as to how many there are. But there are at least 30. Okay, real quick. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 20. Okay, yeah. Oh my goodness. Yeah, this is just, it looks like there's about 70 or 80 of these things maybe. And I have run many of them. Many of them are very clever and they're very fun because they reach out and get the minds of other people out there who are actually dungeon masters writing their own stuff. Here on YouTube, Supervillain Condor DM always talks about the power of the imagination of the game masters that totally run their own stuff. And I think that shows in products like the one-page dungeon compendiums I've been talking about, and here the 5-room dungeon book, because a lot of these things are just creative in ways I just haven't seen in a WotC product or in an official corporate product for a long time. For instance, I'll tell you. I guess need to tell you about one just so that you get a taste or a flavor of it. But then there's still 60 or 70 more here. There's a particular tomb that the players go to. I've run this one. It's great. So if you're a player and you think your dungeon master might run this, I mean, standard players shut your ears type thing because there's a twist. But there's a tomb of an emperor. Actually, the general of an emperor, where this ancient emperor buried his famous general that was his favorite general, won a whole bunch of wars for him, and so the player characters, he had this suit of impenetrable armor, so that the characters get to when they finally get to the sarcophagus at the end, it turns out that the emperor had made his horse, his steed, into a general, like an official rank of general. Like I have heard in real life with mounted police that are mounted on horses. I heard a story about a drunk who started molesting a horse that a cop was riding, and that person was charged with assaulting an officer because apparently in real life the cop's horse is actually considered a police officer. So this similarly in this D&D fantasy type gaming story, the emperor had declared his steed to be a general, and so it turns out the magical impenetrable armor is barding. So it's not a suit of armor that your player characters could really wear. I mean, maybe if they were a centaur, they could wear pieces of it, but since they're not wearing the whole thing, the DM might rule that they're not getting the full benefits of the magic. I don't know. But just little plot twists like that. Just fun. But yeah, I definitely recommend 5-room dungeons. There are other books for free also. This isn't the only one. Now, they're not 317 pages. I don't know if I'll review them on here or not. But there are other books of Johnn Fors from roleplayingtips.com that I use all the time in the background. My players might not even know that I use them. So this is real stuff, and it's free. And it's, I think, better than a lot of stuff that corporations would expect us to fork over money for. And that's what these reviews are all about, is just the free and pay what you want stuff. So like, power to the people, gamers. Like, not everything has to be corporate. I mean, there are some good corporate products. I mean, if you came to my house and looked at my collection, I got stuff that I've collected that, I love in my collection. But I think, it's a neat little niche here to explore the free stuff. I heard from a YouTuber that, Condor DM again, that if you look at the early writings in the early days of like Dave Arneson and Gary Gygax, the early TSR was very concerned that we, the gamers, would figure out that for free around our kitchen tables, we could pretty much invent our own D&D just like Gary Gygax and Dave Arneson had. So now I spend money on gaming. I collect products. I love my products. Got a big old collection going. I'm a big old collector nerd. I collect things I'll probably even never run, sadly, just to have them in my collection. I call it my bucket list, though. I'll get around to DMing them someday. But yeah, it's very cool that there's all this free stuff out there as well. So in the meantime, if you find stuff that we do here helpful, there is a Patreon down below where you can sign up to have me call you on Discord or on the phone to help you out. personally with your personal DMing challenges or questions. There's Discord down below to hang out with us, and our website schedule at grumpyoldgms.com to find some games where you could play with us. In the meantime, I will see you around the gaming table.